I've been in the Philippines 4 years now. On Facebook groups, the question about age gap relationships regularly comes up. I mean, this is the reason why we're all in the Philippines, isn't it? Old pops posting smug pictures posing with their child brides like a cat who's got the cream. His young pussy gingerly hugging a wrinkled old man, hoping his other foot will soon be in the grave. That's not a good look. People comment on their age difference. It's nobody's business, they say. I'm 69, my Filipina's 12. Who cares? We're not hurting anyone. I'm 108, my Filipina is 18. She's legal, we're happy. Yeah, I shouldn't be so judgmental. People are attracted to each other in many different ways, with love running deeper than physical looks alone. On the streets, I see older foreign guys parading their tiny Filipinas all the time. Now I know you shouldn't pay attention to what other people think, but that still doesn't change the fact that it doesn't look right, does it? Is she really going out with him? Cue for a song.
Hello, good morning, good evening, and welcome to Big World Cinema. Without further ado, we'll continue with what you're here for.
The idea for making this video was stimulated recently by coming across expats with what I regard as an unhealthy interest in Filipinas of a young age, with a disregard for what age they might be. I feel shocked, concerned and disconcerted with some guys travelling or living in the Philippines don't appear to have any boundaries considering a Filipina's age and how childlike they may appear and act. When I first came to the Philippines, I was viewing dating profiles online and my interested age range was from 18 to 35. Now let's put this into perspective. Filipinas don't age well. After 35, they're generally past it. Before you blow a gasket and need a lie down, I'm saying generally here. So if your beautiful Filipina still looks good at 36, well done. Back in the UK on dating websites, I put my age range from 25 to 40. Not that I could ever hope of meeting a girl of 25. In other Asian countries, I set it around the same age range, 25 to 40. I've always been attracted to Asian and exotic looking women and have dated a few women from Thailand and Japan in their late 30s. In Thailand, one was 36, the other 38. Both looked 20. But females age better in other Asian countries, in my opinion. So in the Philippines, I set my age range on the dating websites from 18 to 35. I was 58 when I first came to the Philippines, was about to turn 59. Had been lured here by the Filipina fallacy, age doesn't matter. I was chatting to girls still at senior high school. Back in the UK, girls will finish school around 18 years of age, but in the Philippines, they're still attending in their early 20s. I'd have conversations about what subjects they were studying. A man in his late 50s chatting about school. It didn't really bother me at the time having those types of conversations, as it was a novelty to me at first. I met my Filipina girlfriend on Dating Asia before they banned me. When we first started chatting, she was concerned about the 37-year age gap, but then changed that around to asking how I felt about dating someone so much younger, as you do. She was 22 when we met. When I was 60, about to turn 61, she had joked that I was about to turn 16, which was a lot closer to her age. I'm around 5'11", 180 centimetres tall. She was around 5 foot, 152 centimeters tall. Filipinas are genetically short in height. The average height of a Filipina is 4 foot 11 inches, 150 centimeters, which is just about okay for me. Any shorter than that, it's a no-go zone. Short Filipinas will generally lie about their height. Many of you might have seen the video when I went to the red zone to meet the lying Filipina I'd been chatting to online. Said she was 5 feet tall, as she stood next to her younger sister, who actually was 5 feet tall. So she really was 4 foot 10. Not that I was ever going to date her. Dating a Filipina at that height next to me is going to look ridiculous. Imagine conducting an LDR with a Filipina for years, only to eventually find out she's a dwarf. Many guys don't care how tall they are compared with their girlfriends. Actually, I've never discussed this with anyone, but it doesn't appear to bother them when I see them in the street. When I do see odd height couples, I just think freak show, or that record Here Come the Freaks. Now don't be so picky, I hear you cry. It's not their fault. Filipinas can't do anything about their height, apart from wearing 70s platform heels like Gary Glitter. That's okay, Filipinos love their old music, so it's no biggie. I just carry a tape measure with me everywhere I go now, just to make sure they're not lying. My Filipina girlfriend and I would walk the streets holding hands. I didn't mind that, as it showed that we were together. I was happy we were together, and it showed that she was happy to be with me. But a tall, white-skinned Western guy and a petite, childlike, brown-skinned girl looked like I was on the school run, having just picked her up from the school gates. I was never comfortable with that. It just looked wrong. My head was a cacophony of noise, imagining the sound of sirens and whirling chopper blades overhead like a scene from Apocalypse Now, as Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries crescendos and paratroopers land on Mango Avenue to rescue the Filipina in her short summer dress.
Here at BWC, Uncle doesn't charge a subscription fee like Auntie does, but buying us a coffee would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Would it have made any difference if she was 5 foot 3 inches? You know, an extra 3 inches means a lot to a Filipina. Nah, not really. She still looked young, too young to be with me. You shouldn't really be bothered how other people perceive you. You shouldn't think how it looks to the outside world. It's none of their business. But it matters to me. I'd remember the film American Beauty, where the character played by Kevin Spacey leches after his teenage daughter's friend. Or I'd constantly be singing the opening line to Fine Time, a New Order song that goes, "You're much too young to be a part of me." Once you start having those thoughts, you can't unthink them. I'm an overthinker. Each time we'd go out, I'd constantly be overthinking, considering how others viewed us. I couldn't stop thinking about our age difference, couldn't not think what people thought when they looked at us. As she had said from the start, what will people think of us? By the time we'd arrived at the mall or the restaurant where we were heading, I didn't feel comfortable at all, didn't want to be there. We'd sit beside each other, look through the menu, deciding what we wanted to eat. But I'd already lost my appetite as I tried not to imagine what the people around us were contemplating, whether we were in a relationship or not, or if I'd borrowed a Filipino friend's daughter for the afternoon. Naturally, the awkwardness I felt when we were out together surfaced throughout our relationship. Her small size and young age made me feel uncomfortable, as if I was doing something wrong. Outside, we were exposed, like when we posed for selfies, and she made those finger-shaped heart poses, and we stared at each other as if we were teenage lovers, before she photoshopped me to look 40 years younger. I'd see photographs of her and her young mates and imagine being photographed with them, and how they must feel being caught on film with Grandpa. Strangely enough, she never suggested we meet with any of her friends or family. Fortunately, the awkwardness I felt whilst we were on the streets never manifested itself when we were together in my condo. Not physically, anyway. Within my four walls, it was cosy there. Nobody could see us. I didn't have to think how it looked. We'd be very affectionate together. Filipinas are very lovey-dovey, love hugging, which I do too. She was petite, as I've said, had a tiny frame, would wear tiny shorts around the condo. Fortunately, she had decent breasts for her small frame. She'd have looked prepubescent. But it isn't just about the way it looks or the age. It's also about what have you got in common with a Filipina that young. What do you have to talk about? It was okay when we first started dating, as we didn't know anything about each other and everything was fresh. But after a short time, I found a lot of our conversations limited. Being out in public highlighted that we weren't in tune together, that we didn't have much to talk about. Being with a much younger Filipina means that her life experiences are limited. And there's only so many times you can listen to her plans for the future before they start to grate on your patience. Without the props you have at home, such as TV, laptop and phone, we had nothing to hide behind when we were out in public. Now people will say, opposites attract. You don't need to share similar interests. But this can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. They don't understand your cultural nuances, references to film, music or the Western world. We'll take it in turns choosing songs to play on my laptop. Her choices were naturally modern drivel. She had no interest in listening to my musical choices of The Clash or Talking Heads. Having little in common doesn't make for a long-lasting relationship, in my humble opinion. As commenters to my videos keep pointing out, the way you look, you're lucky to get a date with a young Filipina anyway, as they feebly stretch for their KFC jumbo bucket for obese retards. Now, I didn't go out of my way to seek a much younger girlfriend, apart from checking the online profiles of younger Filipinas. Sure, I was drawn to the fact that Asian women are more open to age gap relationships, but I didn't really think a much younger woman would be interested in me. In the UK, my girlfriends were always a few years younger, until I reached 44, when I dated a single mum from South Africa, aged 29.
If you enjoy this channel's content, please could you like, share and subscribe. Thank you.
At the time, I was dating my Filipina, who had recently turned 23. I was having a conversation with one of my ex-girlfriends back in the UK. She was Sri Lankan, 5 foot 2 inches tall. We'd started dating when I was 31 and she was 25. So I've known her for over 30 years and we've remained friends. She has 2 daughters. Her firstborn was around 40 and her second daughter was almost 18. Like me, she's a deep thinker. We'd always have lengthy, heartfelt chats about what was going on in our heads rather than talk superficially. Though younger than me at the time, she had instilled in me that life isn't always black and white. But my having a 23-year-old Filipina girlfriend, only a few years older than her second daughter, sickened her. So is it ethical? When my mum died in my early 40s, one of my dad's old mates, Patrick, came to the funeral to pay his respects. Throughout my youth, his family lived along the road from us in Romford, Essex. When I worked in London in my early 20s, I'd bump into Patrick on my way home from work, and we'd stop off in Romford Market and share a couple of ales and jokes together at the Lamb pub. And now in his 70s, he waxed lyrically about now having a Polish housemaid in her 20s who lived with him with her young daughter. "That'll be you at his age," my sister remarked at the time. I should be so lucky. By the time I reached 50 in the UK, I was already invisible to women. Well, women I was attracted to anyway. I'm not into dating older Western women with outdated looks, so was on a permanent celibacy sabbatical. If I'd remained living in the West any longer, I'd have died holding my dick in my hand long ago. Since living in the Philippines, I've heard of other guys who've been shunned by their families who disagree with their preference for a younger woman in Asia. So expats will settle in the Philippines with their Filipina, as it is more tolerated and acceptable than it is back home in the West. And taking your Filipina child bride back to live in your own Western country doesn't always have a happy ending, as she might dump you for your 80-year-old neighbour. But as I keep saying, we shouldn't live our lives on what other people think, should we? As one of my regular viewers has commented, never let someone shame you for your preferences. If you like young, fertile women, that is just your preference. Well, there's young and there's younger. So the thing with Filipinas is their looks are deceiving. They might look like they're 20 but only be 16, or they might be 16 and look 12. But as I said earlier, after 35, due to bad diet, lack of exercise and poor genetics, it's a pretty rapid decline. Scouring through the profile pages of dating websites, all I can think of now is the pages of school yearbooks showing their photographs. What am I doing? A 63-year-old man still chatting with young Filipinas who, although they're studying at college and in their early 20s, they still refer to it as school. I can't really date someone fresh out of high school or college. It feels wrong. I went to an all-boys Catholic grammar school, and I'm going to be singing from a new hymn sheet from now on. I've upped my age range now to tie in with the rest of Asia. I've upped it from 25 to 35. Not 40, obviously. Dating an older Filipina in her late 20s, early 30s will be much more preferable. Would we have more to talk about? I'm going to be fishing in a much smaller stream. If any of my UK viewers are familiar with Steptoe and Son, I'm going to feel a lot less like a dirty old grandpa, but I'm going to feel like a dirty old man instead. Happy travels, everyone.
Welcome to Bigg Cinema.
No, Bigg World Cinema.
Bigg World.
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 Okay.
Cinema.
Welcome to Bigg
After
World
three.
Cinema.
Cinema.
Bigg
Cinema.
World Cinema.
Cinema. Bigg World Cinema.
Bigg
After
World Cinema.
yeah, after three, say welcome to Bigg World Cinema. Okay?
Welcome to Bigg World Cinema.
Yeah, hang on. Well, after three.
Welcome to Bigg World.
After three.
After three.
1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Bigg World Cinema.
Just a quick reminder to please click the thumbs up button if you liked the video, or thumbs down button if you didn't. Obviously. Thank you. You've been watching Uncle, the man from Bigg World Cinema. Please like, subscribe and share with your friends.